We got a lot of heat on you and shooting in recent months. Go ahead, Kevin.
Hey, boys. How are you this morning?
All right.
Hi, Kevin.
Hey,
Hi.
So just a quick question, and I'm not sure if it's Donald Trump Jr. or his brother, I believe, but there was that article in the paper with the big game hunting and a picture of, I think it was Donald Trump Jr., with the elephant's tail, the bloody elephant's tail holding it up. So my question is, A, why would you go after an elephant and kill, an elephant, and are you still doing big game hunting?
Yeah, no, listen, I still hunt. I've always been a hunter. It's, something that I've done for a long time. I mean, that is, to go to people who don't get it, when you talk about it, if you look in the last, 3 months, the New York Times has done 2 big articles because of that stuff that came out with Cecil the lion and everything like that. And they've done talking about how good it is for the economy, how good it is for conservation. Because in Africa, and people who haven't been there and don't see it, over there, an elephant will feed villages for weeks, and it all gets used. Nothing gets wasted in Africa. And when you talk about the money that hunters end up spending that goes into those economies, even the New York Times, which is about as liberal and far left as you can get, is doing things like, holy crap, some of these places are getting destroyed. And beyond that, all of that money goes to fund the anti-poaching leagues that prevent the people from going in and doing damage because, it's hard to look at something as a commodity, but if it doesn't have any value, say elephants in Africa, they end up destroying people's crops. They end up doing this. You go around there and they'll kill a cow and just put poison on it to kill all the lions. Because it's killing their cattle, it's destroying this, it's killing people. I mean, I've been in Africa in the fields, and you find a bloody shoe, and it's like, okay, someone got attacked walking from the river back to the village. It's very different. I mean, this stuff keeps people employed, and that's, the tail thing is one of those things. It's a 200-year-old tradition back from the old ivory hunters. It meant possession of the ivory. So these guys, when we got it down, and you're with local game scouts, you're with trackers. I mean, they're like, no, you have to do this because this is it meant a lot for them. It wasn't a picture that I put out there. Someone, found it somewhere and, hacked a computer or whatever.
But the money, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the money that they get from it definitely helps. But why not just donate that money? Hold on, I ask this to everybody. It's it's almost like the same logic as it doesn't make it better if you, and this is a bad example, but say you can't hit a woman and then say, well, I donated to a domestic violence shelter. Now, I know the difference between those things. But the money, to me, being paid for it is just the excuse to go and do it. And hunting is one thing, but big game hunting or trophy hunting, I think, is a totally different mentality and a different motive.
Well, it's also, but listen, again, if everything's being used, if the meat's being used, it's not like you're just going and, killing and nothing's happening with it. I mean, I think they're very big distinctions. And, people even talk about the trophy hunting, and it's not really like that. It's a difficult thing to explain to people who haven't done it. But, I've been there enough to sort of know the difference. And I do a lot of local hunting. I donate a lot of that food to, hunters feeding the homeless and, from deer hunting. And I'll take a couple of good cuts that I like because I love venison, I love the meat. And, like I said, hunting's been good to me. It's kept me out of a lot of other trouble I would have gotten into growing up because when you're going to be up at 4 o'clock in the morning in a tree stand, it's a much better way to spend it.
People over the years have said to me and us, it's like, you guys are friends with Donald Trump Jr., but you never bring up that trophy hunting with him.
No, we've brought it up. We've had the conversation
I
before.
personally hate trophy hunters.
I get it.
Or not the person, but the act. Obviously, I never understood that one at all.
And why an elephant?
Listen, it's one of those things. If you're into that, you're into that, and it's again, if you're never going to explain. It's like a lot of politics, right? You're never going to get someone to understand or what it is. But I mean, again, if the New York Times can talk about the benefits of it relative to there's got to be some upside. And we talk about hey, why not donate the money? Because people typically don't do that, right? It's just like they say, well, go on a photo safari. It's like, well, the difference between the hunters and the photo safari is the photo safari guys go spend $1,000 and they're there for a week. The hunters are spending substantially more than that, and
how much?
The motives.
It just depends on what you're doing. I mean,
let's say you go over there. He just
you
the
could
guy
be
just
between.
hung up.
Maybe he's just going to listen.
You could be between. Hey, guys can go over there and hunt like deer type animals, antelope and impala and these kind of things, and be in for $5,000 to $10,000, and then you got other guys going all the way that can do a safari that's $250,000.
$250,000.
You're talking about real money for some of the.
That is real money for that area.
And
I've
all
also
of those,
heard,
and then the tips go. I mean,
wait. So because a lot of people have taken me to task on this, so I've tried to do a little research. And they're like, a lot of these animals to the locals, they're like rats and pigeons to us.
Like I said, lions to the locals,
hate them.
If they don't have a value because they're not making money for it.
But to us,
they're like sitting there and be like, we want to get rid of them because they're killing their cattle. Yeah. They're preying on themselves. Like it's not like, we look at it, it's a big majestic animal. I get it. But for them, they're saying, holy crap. So
I've heard that part of
the
this.
hunting And by the way, I've seen it. I've come across it in the wild, where you'll find, a dead buffalo or something that a lion killed. These people will come and they'll pour poison on the buffalo, hoping that the lion comes back and eats the poison. Not only does it then kill the lion, it kills the foxes, it kills the servals, it kills the raptors and stuff like that will come feed on the carrion. It's a very different thing. So it's all government regulated as best as it can be. So they're keeping populations in check. They're keeping numbers, at reasonable levels, so it's sustainable within the food chain. But they're also preventing sort of the mass destruction of these things. And same thing with elephants, by the way, because a group of elephants will take out a crop in minutes.
But the Africans can hunt though. It's like they don't need Americans to go over there. It's like I understand. Again, I understand
the money though.
That's
don't.
what it's about.
Yeah.
They can take care of that themselves. It's Africa. They certainly know how to hunt animals. They don't need us to do
it's
it.
not as it's not regulated, because you're talking about villages where there's very little. You know what I mean? These guys can't just go out and say, hey, well, there's an elephant herd that. Well, by the way, if the elephant herd shows up, these are migratory animals, right? 30 of them end up in their crops. Guess what? By the time they even figure it out, the whole field could be gone. I mean, that's their.
Do you feel like they could regulate it better
themselves? Probably not. I think it'd be very hard. And then you just have basically a government expense where they'd send people to go culling. Effectively, go out and just shoot a bunch of stuff from a helicopter, and it's an expense, not a profit center. And again, like I said, it's tough to talk about something like a commodity. I get it.
Yeah.
But the reality of the situation is, there's a lot of things that are tough to talk about. And once you get exposed to it, you realize it's not this savage thing that people try to make it out.
Some guy going and shooting a lion with an arrow just to say he did it is different than somebody who's hunting. Like Joe Rogan's a buddy of mine. He hunts, and he'll always he shows these tapes of himself making the meat. Like he's a guy who hunts it and he strips it and he fucking eats it.
I do that too. You know what I mean? And so I do that too. I shoot. It's bow season right now in New York State.
But that stuff is different to me. I'm not shitting on hunters. I get it. I eat meat, so look, you do something I can't do. I'm talking about the difference. We all know the difference between that and shooting a lion with an arrow just to come back and tell yourself that you did it. It's a different thing.
Fair enough. Like I said, again, there's two sides. I'm not going to argue it forever because it's one of those very sensitive things for very people, and then it's an equally sensitive people for the people who are hunters. So it's one of those. Listen, I'm a hunter. I haven't backed away from that.